Hey, you guys, I want to talk about time and not only time but also our perspective. Um, I am aware that I'm not the most intelligent person. In fact, I couldn't even explain to you what what I am seeing or what I am hearing by just speaking about it in terms without looking things up and putting it together because this is not my field of work. All I know is that when I served in the military, I, while working in an infertility clinic, I was responsible for keeping records for our patients. And one thing that I can say that I'm good at is being meticulous and organized. And I was very honest. Um, when it came to record keeping, it was very important that we put things in chronological order, alphabetical order. And this is something that I had already had experience with prior to the military when I worked at a warehouse with U.S. patents. I had worked at a movie theater, and it was just like a little job, side job that was offered to me by one of the security officers, who trusted me to come work with him for a part-time job, paying at the time. This is back in 1992. It was paying $9 an hour, which was pretty good money considering that I didn't have a college degree, making $9 an hour fresh out of high school, in 1993. So I did it, and it was basically just the building had flooded. The building had flooded, and the boxes that they had the patents in were being dried with a dehydrator. Excuse me, not dehydrator, a dehumidifier. A dehumidifier, and so they, after the papers were dehumidified, we were supposed to wear a mask and gown, and this is why I dislike masking. But at the time I had to do it, and I just did it. I was young. I just did it for a little while. It was a very short-lived job. So basically, we had to wear a mask and gown, just like at the hospital. And this is before my hospital experience. We had to wear goggles because while we were sanding down the paper, some of them like this, some of them were stuck together. So we had to sand them down. Also because a little bit of mold had grown on them, and even though they were now dehumidified and dried, we were supposed to sand it down. So we had a block sander, gloves, mask, gown, goggles, and we would sand down the edges, and then we had to flip through and make sure that they were in chronological order. And the entire building warehouse was full of boxes, and within those boxes were papers, and each one of them had a number. So I learned to work quickly, and it was just a fun job because I was working with a young lady who was very pleasant. Her name is Tina. I will never forget. She didn't work with me at the movie theater, but she was very pleasant. And this makes a world of difference when you work with somebody and you're doing something, and enjoying, and there's a mutual respect. So it is important that in the workplace as well as in the household, there's a mutual respect and there's harmony so that everything can be more efficient. Do you think that our planet is harmonious? Do you think? I'm going to ask you, do you think that we're working in harmony throughout the earth? It's just a matter of perspective. And this is where I come in, because I know that I'm sitting here, I'm going to pause that experience with my putting things in chronological order and my sitting here, and I'm very cold nature lately. Like, I don't know if cold nature is somebody who likes cold weather or somebody who's cold all the time. But I'm very cold all the time. But this is nothing new. That's just the way that I am. And especially when I am not as active, or when I've lost weight. So the thinner somebody is, the less insulation, but also you can be a heavier person if you're very inactive. That can also cause the being cold. But what I have noticed is that I was born in 1973. That's a long time ago. I mean, I remember, I'm watching a video on time, and this is very interesting. I am 47 years old, but I don't feel 47. I feel that I'm still that young lady that did all of these different jobs before joining the military and doing well. Doing well at the movie theater. I was chosen to be a supervisor of the concession stand. This is before my 19th birthday. I was asked by a security officer to come join the team at the warehouse. I was also chosen to be an infertility clinic manager directly for Dr. Duffy. And I had very little training, if you will, other than that I was assisting my supervisor, who was the manager at the time. And there was very little training in between, and I just took it on. And the doctor said, well, we're just going to do something new. We're just going to change the way we have been running the clinic, because obviously people were calling to complain prior to me becoming the manager, not because the previous manager wasn't doing a good job. It was just because it was all new. It was a new infertility clinic in the entire southeast region of this country was going to see Dr. Duffy. So it was a high demand clinic. And so we had a 1-year wait list, and people were calling to complain that why was it a year? They couldn't understand that there were a lot of couples with infertility issues. So because I know that creating a life can be very, very costly to some people, what came so natural to me, and I am not bragging about my fertility. I never have. I have never bragged, but when somebody invades your home and takes what you're saying in the privacy of your conversations out of context, anybody can just say, well, she was bragging. And I know that this adoption foster care industry, especially the adoption industry, see, foster care exists because the adoption industry exists. Because when you remove children from their homes and you separate them, and there's that separation, and you pass the children around, that time without their biological parent, that time is what separates emotionally that child. So now this child it's easier to transition this child into another buying and selling of the children. Now, I'm going to pause that there for a moment. I like the temperature, and I don't think about it consciously, like, oh, I'm going to put it on 73 because that's the year that I was born. No, it just so happens that that is like the ideal in this house with the insulation or lack of it that it has, whatever the situation in this home is, 73 degrees is the ideal temperature for me. If it's 74, it's a little bit warm. If it's 72, it's a little bit chilly. And I was wearing this blanket here today, all wrapped up like this. For the first time, I actually wrapped up because it was 71 degrees. That's because I'm not active taking my son to pump it up and the park and all of these things. Now, I have been seeing this vision for a long time with the K in the middle, and it's not the K for Dr. Martin Luther King, although it can be. But this is the K for the kingdom of God. And even though it's a smaller circle that's in the middle, that's because it's further away. See, we are this larger circle that's really not the larger circle. We're always the smaller circle. It's all a matter of perspective. So if you're looking at it from this perspective, yours is the first ring where I see the 4 sets of P. P as in psy-op. You know, you begin with P and you end with P. See, all of this psychological studies and psychological warfare is of the devil. Anybody can just be recording my entire stay here and say, look, this lady, she has done absolutely nothing for the state of Alabama. She has collected unemployment, and she's, just sitting on her bottom, doing absolutely nothing. How is she expecting to get her son back? It's all a matter of perspective. Now, when I go, and you've seen it, when I walk from here with the same camera, I don't have any filters in my camera. This camera is as good as it was when they installed it, when whomever put the Toshiba together, this particular laptop. It was given to me as a gift. It was gifted to me in 2017, October 2017. And it has been a blessing, because in these kind of isolation situations, you can talk to yourself and you can listen to yourself, and then you can go back and listen to yourself. You can learn a lot from yourself. I don't need to install cameras in my neighbor's house to see what he or she does at all times. But if we must, let us talk about it. Okay? So, I identify as E4 because that was literally my last rank in the military. I was enlisted 4, that means senior airman. And as a senior airman, you have 3 stripes. So, it was revealed to me that the key is between the 3 and the 4. It could be 3.5. It could be 3, but also 4. Between the gamma and the dalet. Because it's all a matter of perspective. So it was revealed to me. It's nothing that I looked up and that it was revealed to me. When I say something is revealed to me, it's different. Something's revealed to me and then I'll look it up. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So when I say that I'm E4, recording and reporting, is because I also have my own perspective. So I was born in 1973, and my favorite, in this house anyway, my favorite temperature is 73. That's like the comfy, cozy, perfect temperature any time of the day. So I find that interesting. And I know I'm not here on this earth alone, but I am good at something. So what I'm good at is because I have faith in God. Even if there's psychology, even if we have all kinds of sciences and math, I am aware that if you cannot prove something, but you have to understand that everything that is was made of the invisible. I'm going to put it to you this way. If we're going to be talking about science, let's talk about biology. When you consider how we became, how we came to be, see, the verb to be. I am, you are, we are. So the being cannot be without that other half. So it takes male and female, the sperm and the egg. The egg was there. The sperm was there. It's just they're just there, part of, something that's released, right? And if that sperm doesn't have to go through all of that hard work, and there's a bunch of them, but God already knew which one was going to make it. Isn't that amazing? That's because we are kind of like, for a lack of a better term, we are like a small, tiny organism, living being, as the whole solar system, if you will, within the whole body of space. So when you look at something and you're like, okay, we can go smaller, molecular level, atomic level, photons, let's go, deeper and deeper. These things, we're going to get into the invisible here. We're going to get into the invisible, but we know of, because that's the only way that we can explain. So some things are not even seen, but it's like, well, the only way that we can explain this to people, we have to give it a face, if you will. We have to give that particular thing that we are trying to explain to these people, we have to give it a face, because we know it exists because of the testing that we've done. We've done this testing and that testing, and we know that these things exist. So we'll just give it a face, and then you draw something to be able to explain. So this is what I've been doing. So I don't want anybody to say, but she's a wacko, wants attention. Look, folks, since I was in my youth, I will show you photos of me. I was never a beauty, but I was not like the most ugly person. What is beauty and what is ugly? God loves all his children. It's just like, that is true that you have some children that are easier than others. Absolutely. Jacob was a lot easier to raise than Alexander. But then look at the circumstances. So this is why we're here, because of all this psychology. Okay, let's see how this lady's going to raise that child without a job. Let us see what Miss Valerino can do for us. Folks, I'm not here to be the star of the show. Okay? This whole planet is a star, because we have been gifted his light, the light from God. He has given us the solar system so that we can sustain ourselves within that little bubble. But it's always traveling. We're always traveling. The space that we call space obviously is not empty. Obviously. It's always moving. But it is true that it's always expanding, but it's always returning. It's always returning. And we're going to be going through this thing. I can't explain it because I am not a physicist. I lack intellect in certain areas. I'm good at organizing. I'm good at cleaning. I'm good at taking care of my children. I'm good at doing my nails. I'm good at, doing my makeup. I can do my makeup and it'll last me 2 days or even 3 days because I don't care that there are cameras somewhere that can zoom into my flaky skin. I'm aware of that. I don't care. I'll put it on and it's like I just do what I do. Because I'm not going out with my son and doing things that we used to. So am I depressed? Well, what do you expect? You expect me to be all peppy? Because when I'm peppy, then you say that I'm immature, that I am not a Christian person. If anybody wearing this very top didn't have a size C breasts, you would say, oh, simple person. But because I have breasts, then I look like I am being provocative. I'm aware of your perception of me. I'm aware that if my nails grow, then I look like a witchy person with breasts and makeup. I am not a picture of Christianity. Look at this lady. Look how she walks. But you don't know how I was raised. You don't know that I was taught to sit up straight and walk a certain way. And I didn't follow that when I was younger because I was young. I didn't want to be provocative when I was young. But then when you start to grow and you start to realize that, hey, you're hunching your back and then you've got a hump on the back, the back of your neck, you better do what you need to do. So some people go to the physical therapist, but I'm not a physical therapist. I'm just a simple person. I don't have a degree. I'm not educated. I'm not able to explain in my videos the way you explain in some of your videos, which are very high tech. I have been given this laptop, and with this laptop, I'll explain. And I apologize. I've had a tiny little hair in my eye, and I haven't been able to take it out since last night. It's really tiny, and it's just, I'm not able to take it out, and it's been bothering me, so excuse me. So, I am not here to be provoking any men. I am here because I'm here. It's the tiniest little hair, and I cannot get it out, So, talking about jobs. When I receive a message, sometimes it's in the form of we, from us to you, or as in we receiving it. So I have written, and it took me all day to put that together because you're taking notes, you're emotional about it because you're receiving and you're trying to understand, but you really can't figure it out right then and there, so you just type it and and then you digest it. Then you look up if you don't understand something. First of all, I open up my Bible Gateway, because I am not going to be playing God. Okay? That's not the role that I want to, that's not my role. I always remind myself, I am my Father's daughter. I remind myself, I am my Father's daughter. I am a human being. I am limited. Because the moment that we start to think that there's no God, we are going to start thinking that we're God. And that's the problem. Okay. Talking about time, we have these different calendars. And I understand that we have these different calendars, and that's because we have different perspectives. In the East, most countries have the lunar calendar. And in the West, we have the solar calendar. Now you see how I'm here on the camera, and my left is your right, and my right is your left. Okay, where's my heart? My heart is here. Okay? So, going back to the beginning. When the little sperms swim up, for a lack of a better term, that's what they're doing. They're swimming up. They have a little tail for that very reason. They've been given little tails. They look like tiny, tiny little fish, like tadpoles, or little snakes, or little fish. And they're swimming up, 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 up. There's a bunch of them. And they're not going to make it, but the one. Right? If the woman gets pregnant, or two, or whatever, the depends on what's going on with the ovulation. You know, you can have like 2 eggs, and you know that we're not going to go there. We're going to focus on the one being. This whole solar system, we have been given the sun so that everything revolves around the sun. If there was no sun, none of these planets would be here, obviously. There wouldn't be a solar system. So this is where we need to understand time here within our little cell. Okay? We're all serving time. We're all serving God and one another, but we're serving time because we're here in this time. But our time, obviously, is not the same time as space, because our life time is not the same. So think about the time that it takes for the sperm to swim up and get together with the egg, which is half and half makes one. And then they start to multiply or divide. I shouldn't say multiply, but divide, you know, and then grow and develop. So as we are traveling through space with our solar system, it's always expanding and always returning. So we're going to encounter something that see, the Father says, return to me, return to me. So we have to return to the Father. Spiritually, in every way, just understand that the Father is talking to us, calling us. Because if we think that we're God, that's when problems happen, okay? So, because everything revolves around the sun in our solar system, some of us have a solar calendar and some of us have a lunar calendar. For the same reason that we read from left to right and right to left, and things are so different. That's because of where we are physically within this planet, obviously, and the way that the earth turns, and that affects our brains, how we view things, our perspective, our right. So I know that some of you would prefer to see me having no intercourse, be a virgin, having very little sensuality, and then you can say, oh, we believe what she's saying because look at what she looks like. She's a very Christian, pure lady, because you believe that in your mind that's right. That's your perception of purity in Christianity. Somebody who's not sensual, somebody who's pure, angelic. But I've met a lot of people who look pure and angelic and are right down evil. And I have met some women that are very sensual who are just the sweetest. So don't go by looks. I have met some people who are just a picture of purity, and they're very wicked, and they will abuse their power, and they will abuse their knowledge of psychology and their position to take advantage and oppress. Because the less intelligent people, they're just less intelligent. You have to direct them, because they don't know what they're doing. So you have to tell them what to do. I am not telling you what you need to do. All I am saying is, there is a God. I have seen my Father's eyes and mouth. He is speaking to us. He has been speaking to us. We just have to understand that some of us read this way and some of us read this way, and that some of us believe in the sun calendar or the solar calendar or the lunar calendar, or we call God God and Allah or Elohim. Let us just sit down together and share our notes while we eat healthy food, and think that we really are small, and there are far larger things to be talking about that binds us together. Because until we recognize how small we are, even the whole solar system, it's like our planet. Let's just say our planet is a cell, like a little cell. And that lifespan of that planet, it has a time, a biological clock. but it's not the same biological clock as everything else. Just like I have a biological clock, everybody has a time to be here and a time to leave. But what on earth are we doing? What are we doing with our earth? See, it's like God chose earth. And this is why I say earth is the star. Because God chose earth for life. It's like earth's fertility. She became pregnant with God's children. Out of all the planets that we have in this solar system. So that when some of you say, well, there are far better planets somewhere else. If you don't understand if you haven't been able to, if you're not enjoying your own solar system and you're not enjoying your own planet, what makes you think that you're going to be happier in another planet that doesn't have the components, that doesn't have the resources that you need for your biological needs? See, that little sperm and that egg, they match. They grow a life that was meant to be. That little sperm and that egg go together because that little sperm is not going to make a baby with another sperm, and that egg is not going to make a baby with another egg. And I'm not here, this is not an anti-gay agenda. This is not at all what this is about. It's just a matter of fact. This other subject I'm talking about. So, that human being has to be in the oven or in the womb where it's warm and safe but there are some who are already putting numbers to these children from single parents, people seeking assistance from the government, people who need some kind of assistance. They're in a system that flags them. And this foster care industry has an ugly side to it. I'm not saying that the entirety of the program is evil, but a lot of it has not been people don't know unless it happens to them. They don't know. They have no idea the ugly side of this industry or the adoption industry or the child trafficking industry. In our faces. I don't believe that when kids go missing that, oh, the cameras, with all this forensic evidence, all of this, oh, we caught so-and-so having an affair, here we are, the footage, and here we have so-and-so stealing buttons, and here we have so-and-so in the bathroom, I don't believe that when children go missing, that you don't know where they are. There's a lot of these intelligent, elite people who are addicted to sex and addicted to sex with children. See, my stepfather was military intelligence officer, Army intelligence officer. And him and I used to have conversations that were not the typical father-child conversations. And I'm not going to say, my stepfather has never sexually molested me. Never has he touched me inappropriately. But the conversations were adult-like. Not necessarily sexual in content, although at times he was able to explain to me something that was maybe before my time. But that's just the way he chose to explain because of his lack of experience. That doesn't mean that he was an evil person or that he is, but very cold. So, the top level that I see in my vision, okay, has 4 sets of P. And for a long time, it was just past-present communication. Since I lived on Dove Lane, and I saw the 3 before me. Maria Montessori, always to my right, Dr. Martin Luther King's echo coming in. But it took a long time. Albert Einstein, Mahatma Gandhi, and President Eisenhower. Mahatma Gandhi, Einstein, and Eisenhower were there together oftentimes. And sometimes I would just see one or the other, but oftentimes the 3 of them together. Why did I see that? I was born in 1973. I had no idea that these people knew each other at some point. I had no idea what they had done, really, what they were warning us about. I didn't know anything about the Enlightenment. If I learned any of that very briefly in school, it was not anything that I had relearned in college or was researching or was even my interest. I wanted to pursue my culinary nutrition degree, and this happened to me. It's not like I wanted attention from everybody for me to become a star. Has never been the desire of my heart. I'm here to tell you that the entire earth is a star, because God, out of all of the planets that we have in this solar system, chose Earth to be the mother of his children. The space, okay, we're always moving. It's always expanding and always returning, the universe. So always expanding and always returning. Just like the blood circulates through our body. It has to go back up to the heart. It has to. And when I say that we went up through levels of height and depth, because we were lifted by the force, by the fire, but it wasn't a forceful pull. It was just a very continuous pull. Like it was continuous. It didn't stop at any point. It was like, okay, no, it was continuous pull. Okay, and it was slow and dense and thick at first, and it took a lot of time and effort, okay? And then it was faster, 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 until it caught momentum, until we were there in the fire that does not burn. After we were forgiven, the portal opened up, and it's his heart. How he didn't speak to me and say, this is my heart. It just is. It opened up very smoothly, and we went in like a little sperm goes into the egg to become. I don't want anybody to say that, okay, she's seeing these peas and she's talking about sperm, she's just perverted. Oh, that's all she's thinking about. Or maybe she needs sex. No. Or she has penis envy. No. I already know. I've studied enough psychology to know about this. The Oedipus complex and the Electra complex and the penis envy and all that came from Freud. Okay? But if you don't have faith in God, then you are in danger of thinking that you are a God. And this is the problem. I am not going to pretend to be somebody I'm not. If my nails grow, they grow. I'm not going to keep them short just so that I look more saintly. I'm not going to stop wearing my jewelry that I like just so that I can look more saintly. I'm not going to stop wearing makeup and doing my little thing that I do because I want to look more saintly. When I have no makeup on, you can see the innocence in my face. And I do have discoloration. And it wasn't age related, it was hormonal related. So, since I was in my 30s, and melasma is a condition that a lot of us ethnic women suffer from. And it's something that's seen in among the Asian women and Hispanic women, some Black Afro-Americans and some Caucasian, but mostly type 4. You're like in the middle. You're not too light, too dark, but that's like the worst type of skin for melasma if you have that propensity. I took birth control pills, and I was out in the sun a lot. So maybe it's a combination of things. Maybe it was some kind of a gut issue, internal issues, whatever. It's a combination of things. But I am not going to be walking around with my melasma because I'm just trying to look more saintly. Or the fact that I put makeup on does not mean that I'm trying to hide who I am. It's an expression. People have the right to express themselves in the clothes that you wear. I'm not going to be walking around naked. Now, there are people who have a beautiful body that want to exhibit their body. They're like, God has given me this beautiful body. I'm just going to post for Playboy or Penthouse or do a porn or post nude or be in a bikini and a G-string because I have this beautiful skin. I want to show it with everybody. I have beautiful breasts, so I want to show everybody my beautiful breasts. See, the thing is, even if I had a beautiful body, I would not want to be doing that because I would want to be saving that for my husband. But I'm not here to be judging people who have those needs, because I, in all honesty, think that something like Playboy, for example, it's a beautiful way of displaying. Some of the photos are beautifully done. It's just a nude female body, but then again, there's a beautiful nude male body. Are most men looking like they could pose nude? See, the thing is, there's an emphasis on women, you're either attractive or you're not. You're either able to walk around nude and be confident, or you're not. We place women in these categories. You know, we do that. In some cultures, women are less. In some cultures, women have to be, you know, a certain way to be valued. Either they need to be extremely intelligent or extremely beautiful. Otherwise, see, there's too much competition in the world. In the world. But we overcome the world. We. Because me equals we when we look in the mirror of heaven. See, the water is a mirror. See, there's waters above and waters below. There's waters between this land and this land. So what water are you talking about? Both. So, now that we established who I am, let us talk about what I'm seeing. So, I'm seeing this 4 sets of peace at the top level, but that top level is actually the first is the last, and the last is the first. It just depends on where you are, right? But what looks large is actually the smaller circle. And as we're traveling, okay? Do you know what's ahead? I mean, the sun is always ahead, right? The sun is always ahead. Or no? Is the sun always ahead? No? I don't know. How does that work? I don't know. See, this is why I need physicists to figure out what I'm talking about, because I can't do this alone. I'm just a simple lady, okay? I'm receiving this message, and I'm not doing this because I want to be popular. I really don't. But I don't want to be hated. I don't want anybody to be confused, and I don't want anybody to be overwhelmed or disgusted. I want us to come together and put our rights on the table, our points of view on the table, so we can see the larger picture. So as we're traveling through space, or the universe, it's always expanding and always returning. So we need to sit down and put our calendars together. Our lunar calendar, our solar calendar, west and east, with our different brains and our different ways of thinking and writing and reading, and figure out what's going to happen here. Okay? When we're driving in a car, we're driving, and we cannot just go. At some point, there's going to be another car, you know, needing to go this way. So whose right of way is it? Whose right of way? The person who's going straight, right? But sometimes this person's going straight. Okay. So we've got to pay attention here. We're traveling. We're not the only little cells in the body. This time, now that we've discussed the little baby has to go up to the half of the baby has to go up through the vagina, which is the birth canal, but we don't call it birth canal when it's going up. We call it birth canal when the baby is fully a being and coming down and out into the light. That's birth canal. Vagina, birth canal. Sperm, baby. But really, there's an egg up there. So we're not going to call the baby sperm egg. No, that's a little being, and it even has a name. He or she. Okay. This time, when we were lifted in 2018, when in my trance state, I felt the pull. It was a continuous pull. And then it was faster. And then when that opening opened up, it's like we went into the womb of his heart. And we didn't just go and fell. No. Even though we went in smoothly, it's kind of like when the little sperm goes into the in the egg meat, and then it's like, a suspension. And then we start to, at that moment, because we went in between the 3 and the 4, one ahead, into he. So at that moment, we start to grow in that we're exchanging and we're completing ourselves. We're receiving that other half that was missing to be. See, we're traveling through the universe, but we're not the only ones. We're the solar system, but we're just like a tiny little cell that's traveling through the body. The thing is, the cells in the body, okay, for example, the blood cells, okay, they have no choice. They go up to the heart because of the circulation, the heart pumping. The heart's pumping, right? Heart's pumping all the time from the moment that you became a being. This is why I don't believe in abortion. From the moment you became a being until the moment you die, your heart is pumping. See, those cells that have lived in us, okay, those little cells that have lived in us, they're just tiny part of the whole. And that time for that little cell in us, these different cells have different times to be. Cells are generated and cells are dying on a regular basis. Cells are going up and back down, and then they do their exchange of waste and oxygen at that level, right? That's how we'll be when we come together up there in the womb of his heart. I know some of you think, okay, this lady's crazy. I'm just telling you from the only way that I can explain to you. I'm not a good public speaker. I have my limitations. I'm not professional or polished, not because I don't want to be, but because I'm just the way I am. I can be polished when it comes to certain things. I mean, I can do my nails. Some people may say, well, why don't you do nails for a living? It's like, I'm not good at doing somebody else's nails. I cannot do somebody else's nails. I cannot do somebody else's hair. Other than my children, I cut their hair. But I wouldn't want to cut somebody else's hair. I cut my own hair. I don't like people cutting my hair. That's just the way I am. I know that some people may think, well, her hair is dated. You know, she needs a hairstyle, you know, because you want to see fashion, right? You want to see somebody who's up to date. The same thing with our computers. We want our computer to be up to date, and we want the technology to be up to date, but we forget about what God wants us to do that needs to be up to date. We're like competitive. We are viciously competing against one another instead of healthy competition. Like, let's see who gets there first, but you know, the goal is for us together to come to this conclusion together, and then, you know, we learn, and it's faster and faster together. But we also have to recycle. We can't just be disposing of all the electronics in the landfill, and look how we're polluting our earth. I don't want anybody to say, well, look, Miss Valerino is just sitting there. That's why she doesn't have her kid. She has no stability. She's not even living in her home. She's living in somebody else's house. You know, she's just on YouTube or Facebook reading the Bible. What is that going to do for her? She's mental case. We've already got it documented, so we've got to prove it. All we have to do is back up what we're saying. We have to prove and justify what we've done. Otherwise, we're going to lose credibility as the state. We're going to lose credibility, or whatever the organization. And there's a lot of unhealthy competition in the world, and this is why one nation against the other nation, about who's going to get up to the moon first, and who's going to get credit for what, and all of this competition that could be healthy competition is unhealthy competition, to the point where there's hatred among you and wars among you because of the jealousy among you. So out of all the planets, God chose Earth, and we developed and evolved according to our environment. So you try to put foreign, let's just say, okay, that there were other Earth-like planets out there that you've seen with your scopes. Oh, we saw this other planet that's bigger than Earth, and it's bigger and better. That's what you're selling, so that you get funded for something. But when are we going to get there? Is it going to be in our lifetime? Some people get so obsessed with something. They're obsessed with something to the point where they don't want anything else. This is what I do for a living, and this is what I'm going to do for a living, and I'm going to prove, and I will go to the grave trying to prove this, because I already wrote it down, or I already calculated it, and now I have to prove it. And it may or may not happen in your lifetime, but that is the obsession. And in doing that, we're exploiting our own resources. Now, I'm not saying that thinking about going to another planet is a bad idea in itself. But our Father God does not want us to go anywhere with that ugly mentality. Because if we have not been able to take care of our own earth, how are we going to be allowed to penetrate and go to somewhere else? Now, think about it this way, okay? You're the body. This is your body. You've got all kinds of cells in you. If somebody else's germs that don't make them sick get in your body, they could make you sick, because everybody has a flora, an environment. So if we go into another planet, do you think those inhabitants are going to want you there? If you cannot even communicate with one another as nations here, how do you expect to communicate with aliens? First of all, if they let you in, because it's like, why would they just, oh, hi, you're from planet Earth? We've been waiting for you. No, because they're not God. God has been waiting for you. He's been writing it in all kinds of languages, and he's been waiting for you to return to him so that he can give you a new heart and a new brain already that no technology can do. I am not a robot, nor do I desire to be living in an artificial body. I do not do this to humanity. If people are here to do a job, let them serve time here on earth and move on. Do not be violating humanity in this manner. Some of us have recorded and have reported accordingly to how we felt it. So what I have said, let it not be taken out of context. If somebody's going to play my videos, play it from beginning to end. If you want to take notes or you get bored, it doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt my feelings because I am speaking my truth from my perspective. We cannot be violating somebody else's, taking their words and making a mockery, which is very easy to do. I don't like these pictures of people with little faces that they put makeup on digitally. I don't like to have little caricatures for my photo, because that's just not what I want to do. But I wouldn't do it with somebody else's photos either. If I take a screenshot of something, I am not going to be making up the point that they're trying to make. I'm not going to be contradicting what that person's point is. And sometimes if the letters, the words don't match what that person said, or don't match the transcript, because sometimes the transcript does not match what the people are saying. So you cannot just go by the transcript alone. You have to look at the transcript, and you have to listen to the person, and you have to read the lips, and sometimes the transcript does not match what they're saying, and the captions don't match what they're saying. So you've got to make sure that it does. And then I'll take a screenshot and I'll elaborate. When I tell you that I've seen Dr. Martin Luther King's face before me, it's because I have. And I did not live when he was here. But it took a long time. And I'm getting this message that we had to penetrate through layers, thick layers of hatred among you. We who? I see Paul and Jeremiah on a regular basis with my spiritual eyes. It's not like I'm going to take a photo of them and say, oh, look here, I told you. No. When I have pain, somebody can say, oh, she's a hypochondriac. Look at her. She's just sitting around. She's a hypochondriac. It's like, how do you know? Remember that when you treat a patient, you have to treat their head 50% and their body 50%. Not just the symptom. And sometimes you have to listen to the patient. It could be emotional pain that manifests itself, or psychological pain that manifests itself. Sometimes it's the environment. A lot of things. Could be the food you eat. Could be the air you breathe. We have a lot of mental illness, not only in the South, but in this country and in this world. And a lot of these wars are for psychological reasons, to have medical guinea pigs and psychological patients. I was watching a doctor talking about psychops, or these psychological operations, the warfare stuff. That stuff is of the devil, okay? Of the devil. Using your God-given intelligence to develop psychological warfare among you as nations. Like, oh look, you're coming back all messed up from the war, and your wife that you left behind at home, she's having an affair. Among you. This is wicked, macabre of the devil. And if anybody thinks that you're going to be fighting for the freedom of the American people by going to war, you're highly mistaken, because our country has mass incarceration. Remember, folks, we are all serving time here in our little cell, traveling through space. Our time is within our cell. We have a time to be here. And we have a job to do. Mother Earth is just like any other cell. What do you think cells do? You think cells are just there to look pretty? Or when a cell is destructive, what happens? When it makes the body sick, you have to take care of it to get rid of it, to that destructive cell. So if anybody wants to say that Susan Valerino is being destructive to our system, destruction of what? Am I destroying what is healthy? Am I here to incarcerate people, privatize jails? No. Am I here to send people to war that's not going to do anything for the freedom of the American people or for freedom for people anywhere on earth, and cause a lot of damage and utilize taxpayers' money and waste it down the drain, which is something that our children will end up paying? Because if we don't have the money, because of all that money that was invested in war, we're not going to have money to improve their education system. We're not going to have money to improve the quality of their lives, to invest in community projects that can beautify the community. So, if you think that there's another planet out there that's better than Earth, bigger, better, is bigger better? Is it because we have too many people on Earth? So is the solution to overpopulation killing people because we have too many people on Earth, and only the elite and the people who are in on how these little people are going to get eradicated? They deserve to live because they have education, they have money, they have power, they have knowledge. Do you have knowledge of God? You may have studied about God, but do you know God? Our planet was chosen for life. remember, the little sperm has to go up through the vagina to come down the birth canal. If Mother Earth is like that fertile womb that God impregnated, so there had to be little sperm, for a lack of a better term. I don't like to use the word imaginary because there's nothing imaginary about this. In the beginning, Mother Earth is the egg, and God's little sperm, okay? But the one sperm, the one. Remember, the first Adam, to the last Adam. Okay? So God's little sperm and only one, and then the egg. And out of the one man came a whole nation. So now is the opposite, because now we have to be, how do I put it? Remember that it's the universe always expanding and always returning. And this time we're going to be born of God. The humanity was already created, but humanity has become corrupt because they think they're God. They think they're so intelligent, we're just going to go to another planet and F Mother Earth, because we're just going to let them fry. We're going to go to somewhere else. See ya, suckers. Is that how it is? Does the world care about you? The little people? Obviously not. Who cares about you? God cares about you, not the world. The world can care less. So don't you be trusting the world. You can love your neighbor, but trust and fear God only. So I have my own way of keeping record. And I know that I am not God and I'm not perfect. I have a very unusual anatomy. And I have a very unusual demeanor. And I have a very unusual way of thinking, just like each of you. Each of you is important to God. I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. I know that there's many of you who believe how I believe. Who believe in God, the Almighty, and believe that you are the son or daughter of God, and that He is gathering us. And He's speaking to us and warning us. And He wants us to be humble, not by not wearing jewelry and not wearing makeup and because you're walking around butt naked. You're transparent. Now no. Pay attention. You be the way you are. You express the way that you express yourself. You do what you are called to do, and you do it well, according to your language and culture and all of that surrounds you that makes you who you are. You be. You're gay, you're straight, you be. I am here to tell you that I'm not gay. I've never desired to be gay, nor have I ever thought that I was gay. But there are times that I look at myself and I sound like a man. Because I feel that this earth lacks men to be stepping up to the plate. And I don't mean that because somebody's gay, they're not a man. No. I believe that you can be gay even and be more courageous and strong and come out and say, I'm gay, than somebody who is a wishy-washy type of man. Okay, God gave us testosterone and estrogen for us to be. Because if we hadn't become, we wouldn't be. An egg and a sperm. An egg and a sperm had to come together for us to be. In the beginning, Mother Earth, the egg, became pregnant with the sperm. The face of the waters. The Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters in the beginning. And he said, let there be light, life. And there was. And then he separated the light from the darkness. The baby is born. Who's the baby? The Son of God. In the beginning, the Son of God was separated from the darkness. And then the Son of God returns. God has been speaking to us in all languages, to all cultures since the beginning. He has sent prophets and he has sent his messengers. And I am a messenger. E4. And I'm not a robot. And I'm not bluffing. And one day I can grow my nails. And one day so, when he's speaking to us, we cannot just go on about our shenanigans. Let us come together. Because the Son of Man is us, humanity. And the Father God has been saying, return to me. Return to me. In the beginning, the Spirit of God hovered over the waters, the face of the waters. And he said, let there be light, life. And he separated. The Son of God was separated from the darkness. The Son of God has always been light. Because this world is dark. And the light has returned to us. We are traveling through space. And space-time is not our time. We have our own way of keeping the record here. And even among us, we have a solar and a lunar. Let us, I am not saying combine them, no. Because our earth revolves around the sun. And even though the moon is a satellite and not a planet, if you will, the moon revolves around the earth. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't consider the moon. Of course we should. If the moon wasn't there, we wouldn't be. But we need to understand that first things come first. What came first? The sun or the moon? The sun. There's a reason why we call sun Sunday. Sunday is the first day of the week, or it could be the last. The last will be the first. The first will be the last. Okay? 4 plus 3, between the 3 and the 4, 4 plus 3 equals 7. I see 4 M's. They're just M, 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 or M, but really they're 3's, or W's, or E's, or omegas, or epsilons. I am E4. I'm here to tell you that we are the children of God, and we're returning to Him. Let us put our books together, open up our books, take notes, share the notes. Stop plotting war. Man up without guns. And speak among you. If we're thinking about going to another planet, do you think that that planet would want you there? With your war mentality? With your superiority complex? Our time here on earth is different because we're just like little cells in the whole body. And this time, this continuous pull is like we're the sperm this time. We're the sperm, and we're going up because something's pulling us up, right? Into the womb of His heart, so that we can become whole. Because the little sperm cannot be without that other half, which makes us complete human being. We cannot be without this happening. This is called evolution. Remember that the universe is always expanding and always returning, just like the blood. It goes back up to the heart to receive the oxygen, and then it goes back down to deliver the oxygen. It goes back up to receive and back down. It takes a long time, because those little cells, they think. They don't think, but if they could think, oh, this is taking so long, but they're happy to do it. There's a reason for their travel. All cells have a reason for their travel. They have a reason to go back up. They don't have a choice because they're in the body. They're not outside the body. They wouldn't be able to survive if they were outside the body. They're in the body. So because they're in the body, they have a specific job. And that is to go back up, receive, come back down, deliver. Go back up, receive, go back down, deliver. And that's what they do until they die. And they die well before the body dies. So our earth has been here for a long time. But with these wars that we plot against one another for unhealthy competition and pride and arrogance and greed and the love of money and power among you as nations who are very capable of sitting at the table and speaking in clear language. How do you think another planet is going to want us there if we cannot even communicate with one another? How do we know what kind of gas if we're going to be able to adapt? Because remember, we evolved along with Earth. All the bacteria from the beginning of time, all these animals have evolved. We have evolved. But if the cell is cancerous, how can it continue to travel? This is why we're going to be going to the womb of his heart. Because God has most mercy on us. God has most mercy on us. And we're like the little fish, the little snakes, the little tadpoles, the little sperm. Okay? And we're there in Mother Earth. We're there, but we're this time it's different. The whole Mother Earth has all these little fish, okay? And we're going to go to the womb of his heart. And this pool was a continuous pool. It was dense and thick and dark at first, and we went through levels. And then, but it felt like it was up. That's how it felt, like it was up. Until he was everything I could see in front of me. And we were forgiven. See, what happens is, some people have described sin as heavy. And some people have described that the lesson you have, the lighter everything is. This is why Jesus was able to walk on water, because he is the light. And the lighter it is, that's how you defy gravity. And also because of the lack of sin. The heavier something feels is because there's a lot of sin. You feel heavy and thick. I'm not talking about obesity or lack of it, because some people just have a medical condition and they cannot help that. They have a medical condition, and I'm not here to say that because you're heavyweight that you're a sinful person. No. I am talking about that feeling. Remember that the Son of God, he bare the sin of the world. He paid for the sin of the world. This already happened. The Son of Man must be lifted up. Like Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness. We were lifted. It was a continuous pull. And it was very slow and dense and dark. And we went through levels of height and depth. And the lighter it got, as in the light brightness, the faster and smoother we traveled until it caught momentum. And then We stood there, we felt His mercy, love, and forgiveness. And it was beautiful. He said, finally you are here. And then we went into His opening that just opened up. We didn't have to force anything. Just like the little sperm goes into the egg to fuse and start growing and start dividing the cells. And because see, when we come together, we start to exchange, and it's like, oh wow, I read from right to left, and my brain is wired a certain way, and we have a lunar calendar. And so if your perspective is totally different than in the West. Whoa! You read like that and you think like that. That's why we were fighting. I mean, of course, there's greed and corruption and the love of money and the love of power, but this is why God says, calm thyself. Calm down your high horse, both of you, west and east, or Judah and Josephim, however you want to look at it, Jews and Gentiles. Gentiles is all who are not Jew. This includes the Muslim. Okay? And calm thyself. Understand, Son of Man, you're standing, because the Son of Man must be lifted up like Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness. This already happened. We meet at the cross of truth, the cross of Christ. And it's like, oh, this is why you think like that, Judah. Oh, Ephraim. Oh. One in the hand of God. And this will happen because it already did. And when we were lifted up, the brighter it was, the lighter we became. And the lighter we became, the faster the travel. When we went into He went into us simultaneously because we were in His womb. It's already happened. And at that moment, we start completing ourselves, receiving more for our less. That other half of us that was missing. Some of you who are longing and depressed and feel like you don't belong and feel like there's something missing in my life, and you think that the only way to fill it is either material things or with power, hungry for power, hungry for money, hungry for material things, hungry for sex, hungry for food, or whatever it is. Alcohol, oral fixation like the smoking. You feel that it's not enough. It's just you're not satisfied. Think about it. You don't feel that happy 100% because you're like, I know there's something better. There's something better for me. Maybe in another part of the world. Maybe in another planet. No. It's right here. We're just like little cells in the body. Traveling at a certain speed. We're traveling at a certain speed. But since sin weighs us down and it slows us down, and it keeps us in the dark, in where it's dense and thick. So the closer we get to the light, he says, return to me and I will return to you simultaneously. So the closer we get to the light and the brighter it gets, the lighter we feel and the faster we travel, and it catches momentum. And then it's like, whoa, now I have that other half from you that I learned from you. Wow, this completes my thought. Woo! This is that light bulb that goes off in your head. Not to be blowing up one another. Not to be thinking that there's another planet better than Mother Earth. Because you were chosen. Mother Earth was chosen. Out of all the planets, you better get that straight from the beginning. Know where you come from so you can know where you're going. You're going to restore your earth because Father God has promised it. Whether it's your desire or not. Because some of you would rather just blow up this planet. Leave it behind. To go to another planet. You're going to get lost. If you didn't have the light of God here on earth, you're not going to have the light to go to another planet. And they're not going to want to let you in because it's like, ooh, no. This person is wanting to blow up their own planet or neglect their own planet. We don't want that mentality here. They don't even know how to communicate with each other over there. Ooh, no. Spooky, alien. Go. You think they're going to want you there? They're going to treat you like an invader. Isn't that what you would do if an alien came to Earth? Oh, the aliens. We're all aliens. When we come to this country in the United States, we have an alien card. That's why God says that Jerusalem one day will be without walls, because he himself will be that wall of fire, protecting Jerusalem. With the Spirit of God, we have been lifted up into the womb of his heart to receive that light so that we can be complete and we can be who we are, the sons and daughters of God with a new mind and a new heart, a new perspective. We are going to feel complete with the Spirit of God, which is fire, in our midst. And in our midst of our communities, our homes and our communities and our nations, our cities and our nations. And the whole earth has been chosen to be the mother of the children of God. And the whole earth is Jerusalem. We have a blueprint from God. He is our builder, and you better believe it. So I have my own way of keeping record. I never said I was perfect. I am a human being, but I am his daughter. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.